And I'm so glad my face is starting to lean out. Y'all just don't know how bloated my face was these past couple of months. Sup, boss man? We got Tommy Terrell, man. Long time no see. What up, man? I'm over here finishing the last of this workout. Seems like I get a nice little turnout during the day. A lot of people are on YouTube, from what I noticed. We got Trace Alderman. What's up? What's up? Yes, sir. Where you been at, fam? Man, I've been working behind the scenes, bro. Trust and believe. I have not been just slouching. I've been through a lot, but I saw a movie yesterday. Yeah? What movie did you see? Saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I didn't even know there was a Ghostbusters movie out. That's crazy. Um, was it any good? Shoot, I'm assuming that these movies probably wasn't all that. How was your workout? My workout was decent, man. Yeah, the only thing was the first gym that I was at, it was just super cramped. This is a gym I used to go to years for years. And now, ever since with the pandemic, um, it, it wasn't really crowded, but it's just too much going on. I like the open space, and I ain't really trying to run into anybody new, or I mean, run into anybody that's old. Um, but this one is a lot more chill. It's like a personal gym. It's called Anytime Fitness, where you have your own personal key fob, and it feels like it's your gym. As you can see, nobody's in this one, and I just put my key fob in, doot, 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 come in and do my thing, and it's clean. It smells good. That place smells sweaty, nasty, funky. It just really cramps my style. I'm just like, I cannot believe I used to come to this gym. It's just like, as you get older, you just want something to relax, a chill vibe, all of that. Chris Breezy, man, I ain't heard that in forever, bro. I do not get Chris Brown no more. Me and Chris Brown don't look nothing alike. But that's funny that you said that. I used to get that all the time as a kid or a teenager, if you will. But nah, I don't get Chris Brown no more. Definitely not. But yeah, man, crap was crazy. So I came over here, finished the rest of my workout, and finish it up and be done with it. Do you like his music? Yeah, I like Chris Brown music. Chris got some hits. I'm not with Chris. You look like a light skinned Jason Derulo. I've heard a white dude that said that to me before too. I don't look like Jason Derulo. I can show you who a person I went to school with that actually does like Jason Derulo. Got the same skin tone and everything. I remember when I used to do Uber and Lyft. There was some white boys. It was like, dude, you know who you look like, man? You look like that singer, Jason Derulo, man. Hell yeah. It's like, okay. Nah, me and Jason Derulo don't look nothing alike. I know what Jason Derulo looked like, man. I can tell you, and I can show you. There's actually a guy that really does look like Jason Derulo. Perfect. If I had some time, if I was on my computer, I would definitely show you, and it would be undeniable. You'd be like, "Yup, you don't look like Jason Derulo. That guy looks like Jason Derulo." So yeah, but that's funny that you said that. So yeah, it's like it feels better, especially with me losing weight and getting back into the groove and eating healthy. Because it was one thing that did really inspire me. When I was at the other gym, there was somebody I ran into that I used to see work out a few times over the years. Um, he ran into me, shook it up, and he was excited to see me. And you know me, I'm approachable, especially somebody that I may know from my past, and I'll be the first person to greet you. He was like, "Man, you look good, man." I said, "Hey, man, you look good too." And he was like, "Oh, man, like your spirit, like your actual spirit." Like I guess he saw like an inner glow from me, and he was like, "I could tell you're in real good spirits just from looking at you and your presence." I'm like, "Man, I appreciate it." He was like, "Man, this world is a lot of people are going through tough times with everything that's going on in the world." And I'm like, "Man, I know exactly what you mean. I've definitely been there and I've seen it. A lot of people in the down place right now. And there's even people I've run into that I went to school with. The energy is all off. Sometimes they act like they don't even know me. Um, People really going through it out there." So that was a huge compliment that he said that, because I guess I come off with a great vibe that most people don't have, and I have found that like a lot of people are phony. You know what I'm saying? That you know when somebody gives you a good vibe, and then when you get negative vibes from an individual, it's just like, yeah, something is off. Something is super off. So you know what I'm saying? And that it's a very uncomfortable, unsettling feeling to be around individuals who are, they may not even say nothing negative, but you could just feel their negative energy, that they're not a good person. I'll just say that they're not a good person to be around. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just a gut instinct. You just know. It's not what they saying. It's not the words that they use. It's just their overall vibe that you could just tell that they're phony. They're not sincere. And yeah. So yep. You get it. But like I said, you're in a better place when you start working out, eating well. Your mindset changes. Stuff like that. Excuse me. Sometimes people can see others' auras. Yeah, some people can. Um, at least that's what I've heard. I mean, I can pretty much get into. I can tell when somebody is coming from a good place. My intuition tells me pretty well. It says I'm in recovery now that I'm sober. I can tell the difference between a negative person and a positive person. Yep, that's good. I'm happy to hear that you coming out of sobriety. So that's awesome. But yeah, you can, and it rubs off on you. You know what I'm saying? It's just you walk away. When you talk to a person, you should walk away from that individual in that conversation feeling refreshed. You gain some type of value or something. But there's certain individuals where you walk away and you feel either drained or just a very negative sense. 9 times out of 10, your gut instinct about that individual was correct, and you need to stay away from that person. It is best to not have them in your space, for sure. Absolutely. Because it reminds me of this video I was watching with the CIA, and it was talking about how the CIA agent was talking about how do you get people to do what you want? Because as a CIA agent, they have to go after criminals to convince them to do, tell them information or be an informant or whatever the case may be. He was talking about the psychological aspects of how to convince somebody to do what you want. So I was curious to see what is his methodology of how he does it, because he's a trained CIA. So as I'm listening to the methods, and I was thinking, I'm like, as I'm listening to him go down the list, I'm like, shoot, I could be a CIA if that's the case. But going into what he was talking about, or the methods that he used, was basically you speak to somebody's ideology, emotion, logic, That can mean their religion, the things that they believe, and you allow them to speak and give you all the information that you need to know about them. And then you build upon those traits that they share with you. And so he was talking about it was like four different categories of how you can give somebody to do what you want. And I can't remember all of them, but one of them was, oops, my battery is about to die. One of them was, what was it? Their emotion, their logic, and their ideology. And I think the last one was the weakest one, which was, I think it was extortion, maybe. So he was basically breaking it down that if you have an individual, she said, yes, honey, walk. So it was breaking it down where he said, with talking to a person, if you can see and see the framework, like say for instance, a woman and she's emotional, you basically set it up where you put the candy in the medicine. And so you go around this framework of emotion. And so then on the flip side with the male, you can see that he's very logical, very rational. So you basically build a framework around his logic and you meet them where they're at. And so the thing that stood out to me the most was the weakest one that most movies portray, which is putting a gun to somebody's head and making them do what you want. And he said that's the weakest one. He said you will never get somebody to trust you again, and you can't trick them twice if you put a gun to somebody's head to get them to do what you want. You may be able to fool them once, but you won't be able to fool them twice. But yet, he was saying in movies they may portray that, but that's the weakest one. They will never trust you again. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. But I found it interesting. But it also speaks to the simple mindedness of humans. Because even in that, with the CIA, he's still manipulating you. You know, he's basically coming with a certain motive to say something, but to basically tell you what you want to hear, essentially. And I noticed that I don't fit into that framework because I've noticed where you'll have individuals where people will try to use those tactics on me, and it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because I am conscious enough to know that you don't actually believe what you're saying. You're just telling me and uh, repeating what I said to you of what you think that I believe. So therefore, when you are saying things that you think that I want to hear, you're essentially trying to get me to do what you want, and you're going to find out very quickly that I'm not going to do what you want because I'm conscious enough to understand the framework of what how you're operating. And that's how most people should be, is fully aware of a person's intentions. Don't be so consumed with the idea of the message of it sounds, well, it resonates with me, the emotion, or man, he's speaking truth. Look at the motive and look at the aspect and be fully conscious of researching and pay attention to the actions and words and do they line up, or is this individual just telling you what you want to hear? And there's a lot of people who do that. And even when I'm in relationships with the opposite sex, women find out quickly. It's just like, wait a minute, I thought this was something you would like or something you would subscribe to. And when they find out that they don't get what they want, they're confused and discombobulated because it's just like, I said the things that are within your framework, but I'm aware that you don't actually believe that and you don't even understand what you're actually saying. You're just saying that because you think that's what I want to hear. But the average individual, you can get away with murder with that, with them, because they're so simple minded in their way of reasoning. And that's why that guy's a CIA, and that's why he's able to manipulate people and get them to do what they want. Because the average person does not go into, they don't have that much range. I'll just say that. They just don't. And that's the thing that's just so weird to me. Because it's like you're talking about an adult, a person, a fully a grown person who still has the mind and the reasoning of a child. That's the thing that's just crazy to me. As much as they talk about consent laws and you're taking advantage of a person when they're adolescent, but they fail to understand that there are grown folks walking around here with the same mentality of an adolescent, which goes to show you that the age is irrelevant. There's a deeper play at hand that is you could be taken fully advantage of on the same level of a 13-year-old, but this person is 33. But it's the same concept. Sounds about right to me. So how can a average person become not average in their mindset? Well, you got to be conscientious. You have to start being very, very analytical and being very self-aware. Most people aren't self-aware. They don't know what's going on. They're not really paying attention. They're not really trying to dive deeper into the matter. They're essentially just trying to be spoon-fed basic truths that speaks to their biases. One thing that you have to do in order to seek truth and an understanding, you shouldn't just read material that's already going to reinforce your own already ingrained beliefs. You should read material that is the opposite, that actually disagrees with what you're saying, and then debate it both and see if you can come to the middle and see both sides of the argument. And you'll find that you'll find truth on both sides. The whole idea is not to take any side. That's what the most society is essentially doing. They get you caught up in right versus left, left versus right, Republican versus Democrat, but they never come to the middle. That there may be truth on both sides, and that's how you come to a conclusive answer. Don't take sides. Remain neutral in all situations, and the only side you should be on is the side of truth. And that's what gets people in trouble is because they have loyalty to these group thinking. We're gonna fight the greater fight. Stupid. Because most people are being led in the wrong direction, especially when you're talking about a group. Never take a side. I don't care if it's your religion, I don't care how dedicated, even your own parents. Don't take a side. Be completely neutral and evaluate it. And that'll be the easiest way where you will not be average. And I will tell you that it's not going to be favorable. People are not going to like that stance because people want you to take their side, but you have to remain neutral in the situation. And sometimes you don't even have to voice it to people of what side that you're taking. You just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show and watch how people move straight up. It's the best way that you can do about it because it's dangerous to take a side to that degree. Now, don't get me wrong, you still are taking a side, but you're taking a side based off of factual, objective truths, not based off of loyalty to someone simply because you like them. I mean, there's plenty of people I like, but I still disagree with their way of reasoning because I have to measure it how it weights up to logic and reasoning. And if it doesn't pass the bar as far as in that aspect, then my likeness for you shouldn't uh, dedicate my line of reasoning to determine if what you're saying is sound or not. You should always have that mindset. Always. You do that, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And nobody will be able to trick you. You'll always have an objective mindset. But most people don't. Yeah, and then that's another thing. When you find out and you start to analyze people, most people aren't. All right, we back. Yeah, you got to be. You got to be critically with all aspects. And I'm all about critical thought. That's the problem. Most people don't think critically whatsoever. Mention on their way of reading you want to make.
have to be flexible and adaptive. There's so many information that I used to hold so much truth to, and I had to make adjustments. When will you go live again? I mean, I can go live tomorrow, actually. If y'all want, I can go live tomorrow as I'm finishing up some of the works, some projects that I got to do. But there's so many things I used to hold true, and I had to expand my reasoning and adapt, especially when new information has been put to the forefront. See, the thing that gets people in trouble is they're too self-consumed with this ideology, and when it's presented something that may counter it, they have no ability to critically analyze and see that you may be wrong in your way of reasoning. They stick too closely to one idea or one concept. Can't do that. Can't do that. Information is constantly being updated, and more relevant information is coming to the forefront. So you got to, like DeAndre said, be open-minded, but don't be too open-minded, because you can be too open-minded to the point where you're talking crazy. You're subscribing to some idiotic concepts too. Some people are too open-minded. It should be within a framework and balance of what the information that you're trying to receive, and there should be limitations, but you should understand those limitations of how it lines up to logic and reason. So it's a balancing act. It really is, especially with these days. I mean, they have you believe that there's 30,000 genders apparently. See, that type of open-mindedness leads to foolish talk. You're just talking crazy nonsense. So it should be reasonable, very reasonable, because you should not be lost in the sauce. I will say that, set boundaries, exactly. It's like I said, some people are way too open-minded. I mean, you got individuals, you know, like I said, I'm not even gonna get into it, but yeah, set boundaries for sure. Set boundaries, big time. It's super duper crucial for your own sanity, because there's a lot of slippery, slimy people that they have a way of with their words, and it sounds like it's plausible to what they're saying. It's called like pseudo-scientific, but when you break it down and you analyze it and you break it apart and try to put it back together, you find like this piece of equipment is is junk. I can't do nothing with this. But they have a way of saying it and breaking it down and making it seem like it's more than what it actually is, and you find out that this is junk. This is a piece of junk. This is not gonna take me anywhere. So that's another thing that you have to be mindful of, is reverse engineering. Every chance you get, reverse engineering. Man, it is really coming down out here, raining. I was not expecting this. That's another thing I find is odd is we're in March, but I guarantee you it's going to rain more in March than it is on April. And April is supposed to be April showers because the climate change is so all over the place. Wrong people can lead you to darkness, to be honest, and you won't even know. Like, all the time, all the time, all the time. It's too common, actually, more than ever, because everybody's trying to steal your attention, especially with social media, from the ads, from the programming of mass media news, to all the different factors that are playing into programming you in a literal sense. But you got to keep your head on the swivel and maintain your own sanity, for sure, because individuals will try to take your thoughts captive. For real. You got to protect it at all costs. What month is your birthday, if you don't mind? My month is November. I don't know if you're looking for the exact date, but I was born in November. Excuse me, if that's what you're looking for. But yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Like people ain't ready for a deep philosophical discussion. Oh, straight up, you too, huh? When is your birthday? November what? That's gonna really determine it. But yeah, man. You a Scorpio? Nah, I'm a Sagittarius. My birthday is November 25th. 21st, okay, all right. Close. I'm the 25th. We close. You know what I mean? So that's cool. I respect it. Yes, indeedy. My birthday just passed. I just made 33 this year. I'm not sorry. I'll be 34 this year. I made 33 last year. And so you always get it mixed up because my birthday is so our birthdays are so late in the year. But yeah, man, it's crazy out here, man. A lot of people in real dark places in their life, and I want to move that all away from my life. And that's another thing. Like individuals, you gotta be mindful of that too. Of the people that you're close knit, of your so-called friends. Individuals really ain't your friend, and they will stunt your growth. And more and more as I'm prospering, the things that I don't want to be around is broke people, people that live in poverty, that are having impoverished thoughts, and individuals who are dirty, ugly internally, and ugly outwardly. Stay away from those people. Those people are evil. As much as they try to make it seem like rich people are the evil doers of the world, no. Uh, People who live in poverty. Poverty is the root of all evil. Make no mistake of it. Some of the worst, most heinous crimes, things that are unthinkable, take place in poverty. Trust and believe. And then they love to quote the love of money. Anybody, it takes an ignorant mind to have a strong admiration for money to the point where you love it as though it's a person with a personality. Those individuals are the type to have a deep passion for money to that degree. And in fact, they're willing to kill you for it. Trust and believe. What's the difference of living in poverty and having a poverty mind or attitude? What's the difference of living? Are you asking what's the difference of living in poverty versus having a poverty mindset? Is that what you was trying to get at? Like what's the difference of physically being in poverty versus having a poverty mentality? If I got that question right. So the difference would be because you can live in poverty and still level up and not have a poverty mindset. So a person with the poverty mindset is a collection of habits of how you think, where you basically you look at everything as the opposite. I can't afford that. I don't have money for that. Versus a person who doesn't have a poverty mindset, they're curious to say, how can I afford something like that? What do I need to do in order to afford it? Because you have more range in your level of reason. Understand that somebody to someone else, that price tag on whatever the item is, somebody can afford it. How can they afford it? Opposed to a person with a poverty mindset is that I don't have the money for that. They have a lot of negative self talk about themselves and their capabilities instead of looking at it from the aspects of growth of how do I obtain it? Because obviously there is a path to afford it. And that's just one example. There's numerous examples of a person who lives in poverty where they are focused on looking at everything as an expense versus a person who doesn't have a poverty mentality. They look at everything as an investment, and they think in ways that they can invest in something to make them more money. Whereas a person who has a poverty mentality, they look for things that bring them joy in the moment, and then they spend it as an expense for their own self gratification that's only momentarily, and they get nothing back from doing that. Versus a person looks at the long term play and looks at the investment and see everything that they buy, they're looking to get a return from it, which that return equals more money. So does that make sense? As the individual who has a poverty mentality, they're looking for right now of an expense to make them feel good and get nothing in return from it but their own self gratification. It's not tangible. Today I surround myself with people who want to real success as much as I want, not just chasing a high their whole lives. Yeah. Yes, but can a person be both? Can a person have, are you asking, can a person who doesn't live in poverty and still thought process? Is that what you mean, or vice versa, where they basically have a hybrid approach between the two? Yes, can a person be both? Yeah, they can be both. In fact, most Americans in the United States right now can't even afford to have $1,000 in their bank account, of savings account. I'm sorry, $1,000 in savings. So you have individuals, right? They have a high income. They also have a high spendage rate. Therefore, that person who makes $100,000 and spends $100,000, or let's say 95,000 and only left with 5,000, is on the same poverty level of a person who spends 30,000 and doesn't make enough money to cover their expenses, or 30,000 or less. It's just they're in the same exact boat. So you can flip it on the flip side. You can have an individual who makes six figures and maximizes and basically lives check to check, and then you can have somebody that's 30,000, budgets their money, has a savings of 100,000 because they took years of putting money to the side, and then they took that money and put it in an investment vehicle where they get a return. That person is richer than the person with a higher income. So yes, they can flop. There's plenty of people that are, you got some high earners that are essentially broke. On paper, they're broke. When you look at their profit and loss sheet, they're broke. They don't have it like you think they got it. Even though they may have nice cars, they may have the brand new clothes, all the necessities that are the newest item, but essentially they're broke. Even though they don't live in poverty, but they still have an impoverished thought process. Absolutely. It's very common, actually. So, yeah, a person can live in poverty and still have a rich mentality. So, yeah, it can go both ways. It can. But it's all about the application of how you choose to apply it. Because you can also have the knowledge and not apply it. There's plenty of people that got plenty brains up here, but they don't know how to apply it in a practical approach. But they can give you all the answers and all these theorize and give you all these academic studies and the statistics with this and the medium with this and blah, 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 blah. But you look at their final results, they can't put it in a practicality where the average person can understand it and they can apply it to their own lives. So it's basically useless information. Because you got a lot of individuals out here that have all the brains in the world, but they can't explain it in a way that's digestible to the average person, or they themselves can't apply it to their own life, but they keep it all up here. But they'll try to tell you how you should be, um, essentially, what do you call it, dictating your life. Meanwhile, they have no solutions to their own life. There's plenty of people like that. So yeah, it can get real complex. It's levels to it at its levels. Absolutely. But you can be the conscious individual who's conscientious and not be that individual of either side. You can step back and look at it from a bird's eye view, see what's really going on, and see that everybody is essentially putting on a front. All of them broke. Don't nobody got no money. And you'll find out that it's all for show. And you'll realize that, yeah, that's not going to be me. It says, oh, that makes sense to me. I live in poverty and my family has a rich mentality, so we can never raise enough money to break out since it's always been spent on luxury wants. There you go. There you go. There you go. There's plenty of hood rich individuals. And that's one thing that you'll find, especially when you're talking to black folks. You know, they say they from the hood and they came from the trenches and they're swept down and came from the slums, but yet they got the brand new Jordans on. They got the Fendi belts. They got all of the luxurious items. But if I take you to a neighborhood that has a six-figure plus income, you'll find out that they don't have brand new Mercedes. They don't have any luxury cars. You'll find that there's utility trucks. You'll find that there's Sprinter vans. And if it is a luxury car, it's usually the oldest model because they put their investments towards their assets, such as their homes, their retirement, their stock market. They priorities are in two days way more money in the bank than that individual who lives in poverty. But person that lives in poverty have all the consumable goods that are flashy, that look like they got money. Especially in the black community, they got it the worst. You know, the black community has $1 trillion spending per year. $1 trillion spending. He said, I see that all the time. I wonder, how do they have these things while on welfare? Exactly. Meanwhile, if you actually go to a backwater country or a third world country that truly is poverty, they can't even afford having running water, warm water at that, and in some cases they have to go to the well to get their water in order to bath. See, that's true level of poverty. See, we in a very cushioned society. They got individuals on welfare that's on Section 8, yet they got running water. They got a fully stocked refrigerator with plenty of food, overflow of food, actually. And yet they claim that they live in the trenches and nobody has it worse in life than they do. It's all based off of the priorities of where they put their mindset towards. And that's what blacks, low class blacks that is. Higher class blacks don't have that mentality, but in most cases, the lower socioeconomic class, that's a poverty mentality, for sure. That's how they think. It's exactly how their mindset mentality goes too. But like I said, you'll always see them with brand new Jordans on, always the fresh kicks, and they'll be standing in that long line. Jordans be $400-$500, but yet they live in a dump with a brand new Mercedes in a parking lot. But it's the hood. They hood it out, and it's garbage. It's all nothing but foolishness. But that's where that comes with the mentality. That's all to do with a broke mentality and low class mentality. Whereas with us over here, you know, because this is the KEV channel, or AKA the experts, we are going to spend our money wisely and put it towards investments that can actually benefit us and move us, propel us forward. Not going to put us back several steps back. Like that's crazy talk. But like I said, there's plenty of charlatans. Even the individuals that's with the grift on YouTube. You got individuals that selling people get rich schemes. They're just as bad too. You know, you have individuals who are seeking to get more knowledge and an understanding, and then they get taken advantage of by giving them the wrong information too, by getting them involved with get rich quick schemes that also does not help you, and it's going to further put you into poverty by buying programs that don't actually help you, but only puts money in the person's pocket that are trying to teach you, so-called teach you financial literacy. Because not everybody live in poverty and be hood rich and all of that. You got individuals who have the curiosity to want to learn more, but then you got individuals on YouTube or Instagram, all the social media platforms that are selling courses and programs that don't actually help you. That's going to further put you in this circle jerk of nonsense. Because I'm not against courses. Don't get it twisted. But if that course is actually valuable and you're truly giving people information that is credible and accurate. Just like I was watching this one chick on YouTube, and she was talking about business credit, because you'll see that a lot with business credit. You got to get credit for this. You get approved for $100,000 with credit, and I'll show you how, you can crack the code and get this sauce and blah, 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 blah. And so the thing that they put so much emphasis on is how much credit that you can get, but they never tell you what to do with that credit. And then once you get all of this credit and you spend it, how you gonna pay it back? I mean, that's beautiful. Like, yeah, you got $60,000 in credit, and you got credit this, credit that. Now, how you gonna pay back the debts? And do you know, when I was watching this chick's YouTube, and the person actually asked that exact question that I just posed right now, and she said, I don't know, be creative. Just be creative. Now, mind you, she just bought a course that encouraged them to buy business credit and get approved for business credit, or any credit for that matter. Now, she's just racked up all this debt, and your solution to help this person is be creative. You see how that says absolutely nothing to help that individual. Now you got all this amounts of debt, and if you can't pay it, now it's going to hurt your credit and further put you in poverty than what you already were in prior. It's going to put you in a worse condition. And see, and that's what I don't like. Charlatans like that, where you got individuals who are trying to get ahead, and then they just going to get slapped right back down, pushed right back down. I mean, that's just financial insanity. And that's why you need an individual. Did the course cost money? Of course it costs money. Yeah, of course. Ain't no free courses on YouTube. Of course it costs money. She just put money in her pocket. And see, that's what I'm saying. They give you a lot of bite-sized information, cookie-cutter information. It's not actually going to help you. See, I'm not against charging for a course. I mean, like I said, there's courses that are valuable. That is, if somebody can put together a valuable course. That's another scam that academic studies of universities. They're 30 years behind in the information that you're receiving, and yet they overcharge you thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for these courses that will not benefit you for the future. In this modern day society where technological advancements is constantly moving forward, you're never going to prosper. So, on one hand, you have a course that can accelerate because it takes time and research. I understand, because I've went through a lot of time and research and trial and error to get the proper information. So to put all a very good course together, it takes a lot of time, and with time comes that there's value to time. So I understand why a person would charge for a course if it is truly valuable and it's vetted, the information is vetted properly, then it's worth it because it accelerates your results and you're getting the proper information at the proper time. Opposed to this individual who's trying to just make a quick buck and they're giving you incomplete information, that's not going to help you. And see, and that's why when I come back on the scene with all the knowledge I know, And if I do decide to drop a course, you can trust and have a greater understanding that this has been vetted. This has been, you can see the testimonials, you can see from my experience, I can show you examples to prove that I have the results that you're looking for, and you can accelerate, and the money that you're spending for a course or a checklist or a PDF is worth it in the end, because you're going to make more money and have a greater return on your investment than this small amount of we call it expense that you just put towards something because it's going to set you up for the future. I bought a course the other day. Um, it wasn't nothing crazy, but it was certain things and certain gems that I got from it that I would have never had. It would have took me a while to sift through all the BS, because there's plenty of information that's out there that's free information, but it's useless information. He said, you can take my network, it's 2,000. Okay, my man. But you know what? With your network, even with it being at 2,000, you can increase it. With the information that I would provide to you and give you value, it would propel you much further than your 2,000 anyway. See, and the thing is, I have business credit. Business credit has its place. I can show you two business credit right now. I got two business credit cards. See this? This is Ink Chase. This is Business Unlimited. Then I got another business credit. This is Business Cash. Approved. Now don't get me wrong, business credit has its place and it can definitely help you scale. But the thing is, they don't tell you how to properly utilize this as a strategy to prepare you to not only move forward but also the debts. Like, you still got to pay back your debts. But how do you pay back the debts? You need to have some type of business or some type of vehicle where you make way more money than what this business expense that you're using for this business credit for. See, and that's what they leave out, that details of, okay, what type of business that has a proof of concept that can prepare me to pay back this debts and also enrich myself. See, that's where the more nuance and information that they leave out. They conveniently leave out, and they don't tell you. See, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's deceptive. Just like this one guy, I ain't gonna say his name, but interesting. Your assets make more assets than liabilities. Exactly. And they're not liabilities at all. They're assets. Because I got plenty of credit cards. I got a personal credit card. I got credit cards for days, but I can all pay them back immediately. Credit card, and then I got a personal vehicle. But all of these credit cards act as vehicles to propel me forward and get quicker results. Because I've done both. I've bootstrapped money where I had to do it from my own savings and earnings. But what I learned was credit card, you can achieve it much faster instead of basically draining yourself from putting in extra work at work and hours spent and exhausting yourself, where all that energy can be saved up, where you can be focusing on the business that you're building. And the credit card can act as a strategy to propel you to move forward. But it's strategic. I'm not just doing this simply because I'm trying to flex. It's all strategic moves, and it's well thought out, calculated. It's well calculated of why I'm utilizing this. Because credit card can also be evil too if you don't know what you're doing. If you don't know how to properly utilize a credit card, it can be your worst nightmare as well. And that's why you have to have certain structure approach and strategic mind and systematic mind to why you're using this, and you understand in the future, and you can track it and have a greater understanding that you know what you're doing. You essentially have a roadmap. You have a map. See, most people don't know the ins and outs of something. They just say, "Oh, okay, I got to get credit. Okay, business credit," and they basically attach themselves to these buzzwords that sound cool. Like, yeah, give me some business credit. Like, I got to get this. Invest. Like, they look at these words and they hear them, but they don't really understand, like, what do these words actually mean, and how can you put them into action? Because it means nothing if you hear a word and you hear a strategy, but you don't really understand it to its whole entirety. And that can also shoot yourself in the foot. And that's what most of these grifters on YouTube are playing upon your desperation due to that. It says, like when college students use credit cards for loans, but they cannot pay them back all the time. Yeah. See, that's a trap. That's a huge trap. It's not going to help you. And then before you know it, you're just going to be digging yourself out of mounts and mounts of debt. Like, even that, like I said, poverty is evil. Being in bad debt, consumer debt, I'll say that, consumer debt for personal goods is also, because you're actually going on a hamster wheel of being a slave to a lender. And that's even in the Bible. There's a scripture that talks about being a slave to the lender. You're never able to pay back your debts, and you're constantly enslaved to a person who you owe. And that's exactly what the school system and how it's set up is, for you to be a slave to them. And guess what? They don't have to pay taxes. They don't pay taxes. The money is taxed. You got to pay taxes on it. You got to do all these different things where it's counterproductive to the overall goal of where you're trying to get to, because their job is not to get you rich, to enrich you in any type of way. They could care less, and that goes for your job, that goes for the school system. Their job is not to make sure that you take care of your family and you provide for them. Their job is to fatten their pockets. That's their job. So you can actually learn something from how they operate their business and model after how they do others and utilize it within the same business strategies within yourself. So, yeah. It says they need credit card classes in school because I messed my credit up when I was 22 and it took me 7 years to fix it. Yeah, man. Exactly. They need to teach you investing, credit cards, taxes, accounting, bookkeeping, all of that. Data. And see, and that's the thing. Most people fall into that trap. See, in my case, that didn't necessarily happen to me, but I also was hindered because I listened to my parents that just, due to their mistakes that they've made with credit cards, and they had to dig themselves out of debt. They just told me, don't buy credit cards. You don't need a credit card. So for years, I never had a credit card. And that also hurt me because I didn't have any established credit, and no credit is worse than having bad credit. And so I didn't get my first credit card, to be honest with you, until 2019, and I was 29. And when I go back and I think about it, my results of based off of what I'm doing now, I could have been further ahead if I had the credit card. But I also, if I would have had that credit card when I was younger, I also wouldn't have had the knowledge of how to properly use a credit card, so I would have screwed myself over anyway. So it's a give or take, how you look at it. But I understand that's with most people, that they're not taught how to properly use a credit card. And the difference between a personal, to be honest, the business credit card is ideal. It's actually better than the card. Much, much better. I would utilize the business credit card over the personal any day. But you need the personal credit card to actually help them to establish and have a grantor, for you to be a personal grantor, so them to see that you can manage your debt with a personal credit card. So your credit, they're going to look at your personal credit initially to establish yourself within the system so that you can get business credit. But once you get the business credit, I barely use my personal credit card, to be honest with you. But yes, classes are definitely important, and they should have taught you this in school, but it's intentional. It's not intended for you to win. It's intended to enrich the institution itself. That's not their job. And it's just crazy to me that you can get all these collective of people to follow suit to enrich the organization, and nobody questions it. Nobody says, something's not right with this. And then you got all these mindless individuals who just follow the leader. Simon says, Simon does. It's the most idiotic concept. It's like, wow, you can really trick and condition any humans to do anything that basically screws their life over. I was looking for another word to say, but cause their own demise. It's crazy to me. It's just like, man, you can really condition somebody to take an L of their own life. We're talking about their actual life, and you condition them to hold an L for their own personal gain. When do you use your personal credit card, and what do you spend it with? If I am using my personal credit card, it's due to if I have a big expense, and let's say I need some cash, the cash isn't readily available, but I know I can pay it back immediately, like a big purchase, I'll use my personal credit card, and I'll take advantage of the points, like stuff that I'm already going to pay for, and it can help me gain points as far as with cashback rewards, and it's stuff that I'm going to buy anyway, like big that are recurring payment. That way that there's no interruption. Like say for instance, the funds wasn't readily available, or it took some time for one of my clients' payment to come through. I just use the credit card so there's no interruptions. Like my gym membership, I just came back from the gym. I automatically already have a statement of things that are on a recurring basis that I already know that I have to pay anyway. I might as well just have the credit card to ensure that if something was to happen. That's another thing, that great thing about personal credit. They have great protection and rewards. Like say for instance, you want to travel and go to a different state, and do you get the mileage rewards? Yeah, I do. I really get them on my business credit. I can really take advantage of my Chase Ink cards. It should just be on purchases that you already got to pay for anyway. Gas, stuff that you get the cashback rewards. You're essentially getting rewarded for something that you wouldn't get with a debit card. I actually started recently using my personal credit for daily use of things that I gotta buy anyway, even groceries. I haven't used the grocery aspect, but I can get a nice amount of rewards for groceries, so it comes in handy. But it definitely helps with recurring payments that you gotta pay anyway. And so that way I already know what's on the statement, and I don't have to think about it. You do that, you set, and it's going to build your credit up. You start getting all these different rewards, even when I open up my business, because I have a maid service, and then I'm currently working on a social media management company for realtors. But man, you'll be shocked to see all the different promotions that they start sending you. I got Amex cards, platinum Amex, and the ones that come in the metal, and send it to my business address because I got a virtual address. Yeah, just from using your personal credit, because they know that you're good for it, because it really builds up a great reputation on your file to see that this person is responsible. And then of course they check your credit as far as like, depending on some renters, uh, apartment, you're good. They know that there's no issue as far as if they run credit. I understand this depending on the private landlord. Some of them do, but a lot of them do run your credit, and that you can get discounts because there's actually a lot of rewards like this. This Chase, what's this? Freedom Flex. This is a good card for a personal card because you're getting protection. Say for instance something happens with your phone, it's already caked in where you get protected. Free of charge is covered within your credit card. Some credit cards cover as far as like tolls, and there's like a numerous of things like such as electronics. Like if you buy it with your credit card and something was to happen with it, you get protections due to your credit card. If something was a fraud, they immediately have no problem giving you and insuring it and giving it back. If you want to get a rental car, the hack with that, they'll try to upsell you to get their vehicle insurance where you pay more, but if you pay it with a credit card, it's already caked into the personal credit where they'll cover it, and you don't need to buy their insurance. So there's benefits to it when you utilize it properly. That is, you're not looking at it as, "Ooh, I got 10,000 on this card. I'll just spend it just because." That's the definition of stupidity. Don't do that. Pay for things that you already have to pay, or you know for certain that you're going to be able to pay this back by the due date. And for a lot of people that don't know, even if you don't pay it on the due date, you still have a 30-day grace period too. Because a lot of people don't tell you that because they have a due date, and then you have I forget the name of it, but it's another type of date that isn't your due date. I don't know if it's a close date. I gotta relook it up so I can give you the exact terminology of it. But that's another trick. Like say for instance, you don't have the money just yet. You have a 30-day grace period before it hits the credit bureau. And DeAndre said he got a virtual address too. Yeah, the virtual address is the way to go. But I use iPostal. It's the one I use. So that's another little nugget that you can get by. That just because you don't pay it at the 30-day mark, that doesn't mean that it's going to go against you. But you have another 30 days to attempt to pay for it. But after that 30 days, then they can't help you. If you're not getting a break, it's going to ding your credit for certain. Oh, so he said, so do I. See? Yep, iPostal is the way to go. I actually got some mail. I got a digital inbox that told me I had some mail. I got to check that probably tomorrow. Pick it up. Yep. So you, DeAndre, man, you right on track, bro. You doing your thing, man. I see you've been doing your research. It's all good business. No pun intended. That's what it's all about. Respect. So yeah, man. So I've been on here for about an hour. It's raining profusely out here, so I need to get me some sleep so I can get well rested and get up in the morning and have a productive day. I just got on here to see who's gonna pop in and thought I'd share some insight with y'all. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up with y'all another time, man. So y'all be smooth. Said, yeah, I own a work from home call center. I employ people. Hey, that's dope, bro. I love to hear it, man. You working remotely. Respect. That's a good one. So yeah, man. So y'all gonna see me again on here, man. But like I said, I'm gonna do this more. I'm gonna try to get more and more frequent. We get it on YouTube. But I'm gonna holler at y'all later, man. Until next time. Peace.